Welcome to Tech Bytes with Dan Hafner, your gateway to the future of innovation and technology. Dive into the exciting world of software where cutting-edge tech meets creativity. Explore no-code solutions that empower businesses to thrive without traditional barriers. Hear inspiring stories from tech pioneers and industry leaders who are changing the game. Join us on Tech Bytes and transform the way you think about technology and business.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Now, welcome back to episode number 2 of the No Code Advantage series. So, no code isn't just about using the right tools. It's about thinking differently. It's about shifting from this consumer mindset to a creator mindset, going from someone who sees problems to someone who builds solutions for those problems, just like an entrepreneur. Go figure. In today's episode of the No Code Advantage, we're going to dive into how to think like a software creator, even if you've never written a single line of code. Welcome back to the show. All right. So as always, my name is Dan Hafner. We are diving into episode number 2 of the No Code Advantage. This one is called the No Code Mindset, Thinking Like a Creator. In the last episode, if you haven't listened to episode 1, I highly recommend you go back and start there. We talked about what is no code, who is it useful for, why it's booming and what the big advantages are to this type of approach. But in today's episode, we're going to talk about a few different things. And we're going to talk about the mindset piece before we really get super deep into building and the tools and tactical things. We got to start a little bit high strategy. I heard a recent thing about this OODA or it's some kind of thing. It's observe, orient, decide, act. I'm screwing it up. Anyway, I thought that would be cool to add in, and I butchered it bad. So we're just gonna forget that happened. But this is gonna be very interesting. We're gonna talk about this creator versus consumer mindset, how to problem solve using no code tools, developing this mindset, this business mindset around no code, and then finally going from idea to execution, focusing on the small wins first. So as many of you might know, maybe some of you don't know, this is how I got started in the no-code world. I was wanting to build an app for the running and fitness community, and really more for myself as I got started. And I did not know how to code. Still really don't know how to do a lot of coding in my skill set, my bag of tools. But when I discovered no-code solutions, it changed my perspective in my ultimately my life, because I found ways that I could build what I was doing and solve the problem that I needed solved without having to go down that route of learning to code. I tried that route. I truly did. I tried for a couple of weeks trying to learn coding programs and signed up for courses and bought things and did all this stuff. And it was not my cup of tea, not my thing. So if you've been down that road before, don't worry. I've been there. I feel you. It's not fun. Maybe it is for you. That's great. But if not, then you're in the right place. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about this creator versus consumer mindset. This is a very, very interesting topic. It applies all over the place. One of the big places that I see the parallel between this and in the no-code world is this world of social media, right? There's 2 types of people on social media. There are the consumers, which is the bulk of people. You're just there, you're scrolling, you're consuming the content, you're watching the things, you are, even if you're just commenting or liking or reacting, you are the consumer, right? Then there's the creative, the people who are creating the viral content, who are creating reels, who are creating posts, who are creating things that drive that engagement, right? That's obviously the smaller portion, right? And this really applies to the no-code space. There are people out there, there are customers out there all over who are the consumers. That's the big section of the market. You as the creator position yourself to be the provider, to be the solution provider to that market, right? And that's this creator versus consumer mindset, right? Because it really goes from, okay, I have this problem and there might be an app out there or software out there that I can use to solve this. And it's the shift of going from what app should I use, consumer, to how can I build this myself? How can I solve this problem for not only myself, but a potential client. That's the creator mindset, right? And this is a really, really interesting thing, because once you make this shift, you start seeing how everyday problems can become software solutions. Like, one of the gifts that I have developed, I wouldn't say I was endowed with it. Like, the gifts I've been developed is to be able to look at almost any business, any process, any Google spreadsheet, anything that you have for your business, and tell you how that could be converted to software, right? And I've been able to do that over the past 5 to 6 years being in business, looking at hundreds, if not thousands, of businesses and processes and systems at this point, and saying, okay, yeah, great, this is how this could be solved using software. Boom. Like, but that comes through reps. That comes through this mindset shift of seeing the world. And that's what I'm trying to communicate here, is there's this paradigm shift of going from being a creator, or I'm sorry, being a consumer, to being a creator, of thinking, okay, how can I provide a solution for this, not just consume another one, right? So an example of this would obviously be, like, a very simple one would be automation, using something like a Zapier tool or a make.com to, get rid of a burdensome manual process. Like, something that simple could be this, okay, I need to, is there like someone out there that can help me fix this problem that let me actually go into make.com or Zapier and build an automation. So every time I add a row to the spreadsheet, it sends an email to this person, or it logs this thing in Slack, and it sends a channel here, and all these types of things. Like, there's a solution to this, right? That's the creator mindset. It can be that simple. Okay. So the second piece I want to talk about today is problem solving with no code, right? As entrepreneurs, as someone who's in your own business, you get paid to solve problems. The bigger problems you solve, the more you can get paid, right? If I have something like, I need my car washed, right? That's a problem. I can do it myself. That costs me the time, the effort, and the energy to do that. Or I can go pay someone to do it, or go to a car, right? Now, that's a relatively small problem because it's pretty easy to solve. Washing a car is not all that much. So it's only worth, what, 10, 20, 25 bucks? I don't know. I think the car wash by our house is like $12, something like that, right? That's not a huge problem. But if I have a problem where I need to double what I'm doing in business, or I need to fix a relationship that I'm in, or I need to heal trauma that I'm working through, or I need to build this different business process that's going to help bring in more sponsors and 10x our revenue. Like, that's an expensive problem to have, because the downside is incredibly high, right? So you can therefore get paid more to solve that problem. Okay, it's a very simple concept, but it's worth repeating and stressing here, because the same thing applies to software. The same thing applies to this no-code world, right? And in the best no-code creators that I know, the best entrepreneurs that I know, right, they don't focus on the tools and the benefits, or I'm sorry, and the features. Like, no one cares about the features of your tool. No one cares about what this does as far as like the technical aspects of it, right? What they care is that it solves a problem, that like the benefit, like not the features, the benefits. You don't say, hey, this thing has like 3 different ways that you can do this and that and the other thing. No one cares. What they care about is, hey, this thing saves you 4 hours a day. Oh, that's useful. I could use 4 hours a day back of my time, right? Something simple like that. So here's a couple of things that I think about when, this framework for thinking like a no-code creator. Number 1, identify real pain points, right? Like, what's something that's slow? What's an inefficient process? What's a frustrating problem? What's a roadblock that you keep coming up against, right? So identify those real pain points, not just ChatGPT pain points or pain points in your mind, right? Like, what's a real pain point somebody's suffering through, right? Number 2, map out the workflow, right? What steps are taken to fix this, to solve this problem, right? Go back to the car wash example. My car is dirty. It needs washed. What's the step? I can either go down to my garage, turn on my hose, get out my stuff, wash it myself, do that type of stuff. Boom. Or option B, drive it to a car wash, go wait for, a team to be out there that's raising money that'll wash my car for me, whatever. Right. That's the workflow of how can I take this problem and solve this? What's the actual steps that are going to be taken to solve this problem? And number 3, choose the tool that's going to be used inside of this no code world that is going to solve that problem in the best way, right? So maybe it's an automation thing where you just need something like Zapier or Make. Maybe it's an entire SaaS platform that you can use something like Bubble or Adalo or a website like a Webflow thing or whatever. So before you even get into like, I can build this tool in this thing, well, go back to what's the pain point, right? What's the workflow? And then you get down to the point where maybe I don't need something all that complex. A lot of times that's where it really ends up going. People want to build these super AI-based powered things. It's like, well, you don't really need that sometimes. Maybe you do, but have you investigated it? Have you really thought it through? Have you mapped it out? I don't know. Okay. So I've given a couple examples there. So we'll go on to the next thing. But how do you continue to develop this no code business mindset to apply this thing? It's very similar to entrepreneurship. It's almost the same thing. I'm just repackaging it into this no code way, right? So it's just thinking like an entrepreneur, not just a builder. I'm not just this developer who builds this tool, right? This was a shift that I had to go through in my mind of like, okay, I'm a developer, that I build these things, right? When I work with people, like I'm a strategic partner. I'm a strategist with them. I'm not just thinking through like, yeah, we could build this thing for you. Because every time somebody comes to me, they're like, here's what I want to build. What does it cost? Like, that's it. That's all people care about. Well, there's so much more to it, right? Like, why are you building this? What's the pain point? What's the workflow? Then we get into the tool. What's the business model behind this? Or are you going to monetize? Is this a free resource? Is this a lead mag? There's so many more questions that you need to address when it comes to this stuff. It's not just what is it and how much is it going to cost? Like, I love those things because I'm like, okay, you're totally missing the boat here, right? And another like tidbit I just wanted to add, one of the biggest mistakes I made early on in my career, and I see a lot of people make as they try to launch something, or especially I'm talking more like the SaaS applications or the like a big, not just like an automation, like something that's going to be an actual tool for other people to use, is trying to make the perfect thing before you launch. That's like the ultimate killer of productivity. That's the ultimate killer of progress and success, is perfection, right? Like I've always said this, done is better than perfect every time. If something's done, if something's usable, put it out there, launch it, get feedback, use it. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Don't wait for the designs to be beautiful. Don't wait for all of the bugs to be worked out. You want to make sure stuff is bug free as you can possibly make it. Obviously, you don't want to put out crap, but you want to make something usable, right? I talk about a good friend of mine, Alex Sanfilippo, on here a lot, his platform Podmatch. The very first version, it's a beautifully custom coded software now that works phenomenally well. The first version of it was like Google spreadsheets. Like it was something super bare bones, but it worked. It did the job of what they needed it to do. It was very, very simple. It wasn't very pretty, but it worked, right? And that was the original thing. And they built the next version, the next version, the next version, the next version. So it's a very useful example, right? So we talk about this all the time in this field. If you've never heard of the term MVP, it's a minimum viable product, or a minimum, I think, what was the thing I was going to say? Gosh, I can't think of it now, but a minimum viable product, like an MVP, right? Like the smallest functional version of your idea possible. It doesn't need all the bells and whistles. It doesn't need the super cool branding and the right color schemes and the right, how the flow and the user experience and user interface is important. Don't get me wrong. But you need to have something functional first. You got to make sure that the thing solves the right problem in the right way. And then you worry about improving things, right? That's just the very, very part of the matter. It really, really is. So don't let perfection stand in your way is what I'm trying to say. That's kind of the summary sentence of that entire section, right? Okay. So overall, as I wrap up this episode, hope this was value for you. Start small, solve one pain point at a time, get real feedback from real people, even if it's yours, even if you're building something for yourself to start out with. Solve a real problem. Don't solve phantom problems. Don't just ask ChatGPT to come up with 50 different ideas or 50 different hypothetical problems that could be happening. They might not work. They might not actually be pain points, right? So solve one thing at a time. Don't try to solve all the world's problems in your app. That never works because you need to have it focused. You need to have it specific. And just focus on that MVP. Done is better than perfect every single time. Okay. So, as a gift for you guys, for listening all the way through, it's in the show notes as well. I put together another free document called the No Code Sprint Challenge. And this is basically a simple document of 7 days to go through this exact process. Now, you might not be, if you're following this along, you're learning no code for the very first time, you might not be capable of doing this in 7 days, and that's no problem. Like I'm going to build on these types of things. The future episodes of this series will help you fill out this challenge in better ways. But I want to give it to you right now, nonetheless, because it's a really, really cool document that I put together that works through, from 0 to no code MVP in 7 days, right? It's called the no code MVP roadmap. Put the link for it in the show notes. I'd like your comments, your feedback on it. Please use it. If it's useful for you, please let me know. That'd be really appreciated. And it is really, really, really cool. And then you can always share your progress in the Founders Fast Track community, which will also be in the show notes. So if you haven't joined there, I highly encourage you to do it. Check it out. It's free. It's really cool. So that was episode 2, the No Code Mindset. In episode 3 of the No Code Advantage series, next time coming up, we're going to break down the no code tool landscape, right? Like we talked about step 3, choosing the right tool. How do you pick the right platform for your project and avoid this decision paralysis? Because there are surely a lot of tools out there, and I did not mean to call you surely. I'm sorry about that. All right, my friends, that is all for episode 2 of the No Code Advantage series. I will see you in the next episode, number 3. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for tuning in to Tech Bytes, your go-to show for software business and technology. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with our latest episodes, insights, and stories. Hungry for more? Dive deeper into the world of no-code by visiting dapanacode.com. Your journey to building amazing software without coding skills starts there. Connect with like-minded creators and unlock a world of resources tailored just for you. Subscribe now. Explore Dapa No Code and let's innovate together.